There is a classical philosophical position that says pleasure is the only intrinsically good thing, pain's the only intrinsically bad thing. I do not myself believe that is true. I think that there are other things above and beyond pleasure and pain, or above and beyond your experiences and your mental states. So that I think love, and I don't just mean the experience of love, but actually being loved, being in a loving relationship, is an intrinsically good thing. It's in your interest. Well, I think it does make you happy, but I don't think its contribution to your pleasure exhausts its value. So I'm going to give an example here to really, now this is going to open up the floodgates, and we won't be able to pursue this either, but here's an example. Some of you may be familiar with it. Some of you won't have heard of it before. This comes from a guy named Robert Nozick. He taught at Harvard for many, many years. It's called the experience machine. Here's the quick version of it. Imagine the super duper scientists, neuroscientists, have figured out how to stimulate your brain exactly, precisely the way to create whatever experiences you would have had if you were doing fill in the blank. So that we can give you exactly the same experiences on the inside that you would have if you were climbing Mount Everest, right? So it's not like being at the IMAX where you think, wow, isn't this realistic? Just like, you're not sitting here right now thinking, wow, isn't this realistic? You just take it to be real, right? So when you're on the experience machine, you don't know you're on the experience machine. You feel, or at least you think you feel, the wind whipping across your face. You remember the thrill of almost having the rope snap a minute ago. Of course, there was no rope. You're just floating in the psychologist's tank. But on the inside, it's exactly the same. Indistinguishable. No way to tell. Perfect simulation. All right. Now, imagine you filled in the program with whatever you think is the best kind of life in terms of happiness. Whether it's being creative or making fantastic discoveries, or being really, really rich, or having a lot of ice cream or sex, or whatever it might be, right? And now everybody's got to ask yourself, what would you feel about the prospect of spending your entire life on that machine playing that kind of program? What would you feel about discovering on your deathbed that your whole life had been an illusion and you were only on such a machine? What would you think if I offered you the prospect of having your firstborn child live their entire life on such a machine? Do you think that life on such a machine gives you everything worth having in life from a kind of self-interested perspective? In terms of what's in it for me, does that machine give you everything? Now, I've been discussing these issues with students, audiences, for many, many, many years. Example's not mine, but I've been discussing it for many, many years. And it's almost always the case, you'll have to each of you think about yourself, that most people think there's something missing from life on the experience machine. There's always some who don't. Maybe you are one of the people who think there's nothing missing from that machine. But most of us think there is something missing, and that at least suggests that for most of us, these other things, the things that are missing, really being in love, really having made a discovery, really having been creative, really having accomplished something, and so forth and so on, those things are valuable above and beyond their impact on your pleasures, your experiences. Whether that's a good enough argument, again, sadly, these things are complicated and we don't have the time to, it would be another entire day's worth of discussion. But at least that's the sort of thing I find sufficiently persuasive in my own case to make me quite confident that, at least as far as what I care about, it's not just happiness. One last sentence about this, though. The way I just put it was, there's more to life worth having than happiness. But sometimes the way I would put it is, there's more to happiness than just getting the insides right. The experience machine gets the insides right, but doesn't get the outsides right. People who are happy on the experience machine, let's say people who are willing to go into the experience machine, basically are saying what you don't know can't hurt you.